Hello, everybody. Welcome to Snyder's Inc. Today, I'm gonna be doing another Mr. Ballin. I'm gonna be start being a bit more picky of Mr. Ballin. Like, I'm not gonna dismiss most videos because a lot of his videos I do like to listen to, especially when it's based around one story. So those I'll always listen to and do reactions to. But I might be a bit more cautious with some of this thing because I know that I react to him a lot. And I know there's people who seem to think, or like probably do think I rely upon him for reactions. It's just good to react to, but I'm gonna start reacting to spooky natural, supernatural, like ghost stuff, paranormal stuff, maybe some music I might listen to, might start doing. I'm gonna try to go into other routes besides Mr. Bomb. Still gonna react to him. I might go a different. I might not always rely on him. So yeah, we're gonna do one today though. And this one is top 3 videos with disturbing backstories, part 9. So everybody, I need y'all to hit the like button, hit subscribe button, comment what you think down below. Comment stuff you'd like to see me react to in the comments. If you like listening to some music, I would suggest some music you'd like to hear me react to. Suggest some music. Ladies and gentlemen, no. Are you guys ready? Of course you're ready. Let's go.
Today, I'm going to share 3 progressively more disturbing stories, and at the end of each of them, I will share the video that is famously associated with them. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right channel because that's all we do, and we upload 3 or 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please replace the like button's sleeping pills with caffeine pills right before their 14-hour plane ride from Hawaii to Okinawa, Japan. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories. In June of 2018, 18-year-old straight-A student Tyler Turner graduated from his high school in Central California. In the fall of that year, he was scheduled to go to the University of California, Merced with a full scholarship. He planned to study biochemical engineering because he was born with cerebral palsy and wanted to help other people with the condition. In August of that year, one of Tyler's friends said they wanted to go skydiving to celebrate their birthday. Tyler was nervous about it, but he had never done it before and figured, you know what, it'll be fun, I'll do it. His mother, Francine, who was very close with her son, was very nervous about her son jumping out of a plane, and so she asked if she could tag along to provide moral support and maybe take some.
Give me a second. There's just a dog barking. Sorry about that, but I heard a dog barking, and I like dogs, so I'm gonna go see if there's one around my area to visit. Just a dog barking in a different area. Let's continue.
Pictures, and he said that was fine. So on the 6th of the month, Tyler and his mother hopped in the car and drove over an hour north to the Lodi Parachute Center where they met up with Tyler's other 3 friends. They were all very nervous, but very excited. So the group went inside the main building, and Tyler went up to the counter, and he paid $100 for a single tandem jump from 13,000 feet. A tandem.
Whew! $100. Wait a minute, someone asked him to go and then made him pay for his jump? That's messed up. That is messed up. I'm never gonna skydive, but god damn, if someone's gonna invite me to it, they better be the ones paying for it. God damn.
Tandem jump is when 2 people jump together under one parachute. And so most commonly, you're going to have the instructor who's got the parachute on his or her back, and then on their chest, harnessed at 4 different points, is going to be their student or whoever they're jumping with, and they don't have a parachute. They're just tethered to the instructor who has the parachute. So in this case, Tyler would be strapped onto his instructor. And so the advantage for Tyler as a first-time jumper is that he would not need to do anything once they're in free fall. The instructor would be 100% in control of keeping them steady in the air, of pulling the parachute, of dealing with any malfunctions, of flying the canopy, and of landing. It's all done by the instructor. After paying, Tyler and his mother walked over and
That would scare the hell out of me because that would mean I'd have to put trust into someone I don't want to. I don't trust. I wouldn't trust anyone high in the air. I just rather fucking. I wouldn't. No, that's why I'm never gonna skydive. I don't trust myself to do it, but I don't trust someone else to do it either. Judging by the way I'm gonna expect this goes, I don't think this goes the way he expects it to.
met his instructor, the guy he'd be strapped onto. It was a 25-year-old man named Young Kwan who told him he had jumped over 700 times. And so Young told Tyler that he needed to watch a safety video before they did anything else. And so Tyler and his mother walked into the room, they sat down, the TV turned on, and a very simple safety video came on. And partway through it, another instructor walked in and just turned it off and told Tyler and his mother, you've seen enough, you guys can go.
Feel like there's gonna be another time where people just don't take safety seriously because not much happens, and that's gonna be the time, and that's the time where it bites them always in the ass.
Francine was a little bit alarmed at this behavior because it seemed odd to skip over safety when you're jumping out of a plane for the first time, but she figured, you know what, they must know what they're doing, I'm sure it's fine. Just before 10 a.m., Yang helped Tyler get into his tandem jump harness that would allow him to connect onto Young's chest. And then afterward, Tyler walked over to his mom, gave her a big hug, told her he loved her, and then he departed his mother and walked his way over to the staging area where he and the other jumpers, that included his friends, were waiting for the plane to start so they could actually board. While they waited, Tyler was really nervous, and his instructor picked up on it, and so to put Tyler at ease, he began filming Tyler and interviewing him about his upcoming jump to kind of make light of the whole situation, and it seemed to work.
My name is Tyler Turner. What did I do here? I am going to jump out of a plane. It's your first time. First time indeed. That's my mom over there. Hello. Very loving mom. Done a lot for me in my life. Hopefully more that she'll help me with more of my life because I want to make it. Okay, we're going to make it.
After they recorded this video, the plane was ready to go, so it was time to start boarding. And so Tyler and his instructor walked over, but Tyler stopped on the tarmac. He took a knee and prayed, and then he stood back up, he turned to his mother, he waved one more time, and then he boarded the plane. After a little while, the plane took off, and then after a little while longer, it was up at 13,000 feet, flying in circular patterns. And that's when Francine started looking up, looking for her son, and at some point she started seeing jumpers come out of the plane. And they were so far away, she couldn't possibly make out who was who. And so as the jumpers began pulling their parachutes and all the different colored parachutes are lighting up the sky, she was trying to remember what color her son's parachute was, but she couldn't remember. And so she asked the other people that were watching, that were relatives or friends of the people up there, if they knew what color her son's parachute was, but nobody knew. As they got lower and lower, and you could actually start to make out who the jumpers were, she didn't see her son. And that's because her son's parachute never opened. And unfortunately, his instructor, Yang, was not able to fix the malfunction or fire off the reserve, and so they both crashed into the ground, killing them both instantly. Tyler's family sued the owner of the parachute facility after they discovered Tyler's instructor, Yang, was not even certified to be an instructor, and so would not have received any of the required training on how to handle parachute malfunctions, and the owner knew about it. Investigators also discovered that 20 people had died skydiving at this facility under the same owner, a ridiculously high number of fatalities that most people involved are attributing to the owner's general disregard for safety. And ultimately, a judge agreed with that sentiment and awarded the Turner family $40 million from the owner of this facility.
There we go. See that's insanity. The fact that an owner, 20 people can die under the ownership in this facility for skydiving, and just until now is something done about it, is insane. The fact that this owner has zero regard for safety for anyone who went there. He was fine with them taking the money, and he would have been fine if none of them came back. If none of them came back from that flight, he would have been okay with it. This guy has no regard for any safety, anybody. What an a-hole. Good on them for having the owner pay $40 million. I bet she doesn't even have it. That's good, because I don't want, because I want him to suffer the rest of his goddamn life for being so stupid.
In 1962, Chelino Sanchez was born into a poor family in the Mexican state of Sinaloa. When he was just 15 years old, one of his sisters was assaulted by a very rich and powerful man in their town, and so he never got punished for it. 2 years later, when Chelino was 17, he saw this man at a party and he walked up to him and shot him in the head, killing him instantly. After the murder, Chelino fled to Tijuana before ultimately crossing the US border into Los Angeles, where he stayed with his aunt. He worked odd jobs like picking vegetables and selling cars before he ultimately went into business with his brother, who was back in Mexico, and he worked with him to smuggle Mexicans into the US. But that operation stopped in 1984 when his brother was murdered in Tijuana. To commemorate his brother, Chelino, who always loved music, wrote a song about him. And he formatted the song in the typical Mexican ballad style called corrido, but his lyrics were graphic and gritty, something nobody else did when they wrote a corrido. Chelino spoke honestly and openly not only about how his brother was killed, but also the struggles of living around drug trafficking and violence in Mexico. Shortly after writing the song, Chelino wound up in jail in Tijuana, Mexico, and while he was there, he would sing the song he wrote about his brother, and other inmates heard it and loved it. They'd never heard a corrido sung like that. So they asked Chelino if he would write songs about them and their exploits. Soon, Chelino was being commissioned by all these inmates in this prison to write their songs in exchange for money and for favors. When Chelino got out of prison, his unique songwriting abilities had spread beyond the prison walls to other criminals and drug traffickers and kingpins in Mexico, and before long, Chelino was being approached by those people to write their songs. His corridos pioneered a new subgenre of music called narco corrido for their ties to the narcotics industry. Some people today compare the style and lyrics of the narco corrido to gangster rap. By 1987, Chelino's music was not just being shared amongst his paying clients. It had spread into Los Angeles and all over Mexico and was becoming very popular, even though it wasn't being played on the radio because radios thought his lyrics were too graphic. And
So, here's what I think is either going to happen here. Because I feel I know this, but I don't know the backstory behind it. Either he's going to get taken out with someone he didn't do the song for or didn't like the way he did a song about him, or the people who wanted revenge for the murder he committed back in the day when he was young are going to find him and end up taking him out. Those are my two guesses. Because trust me, there's never usually a story of these videos that end up with someone alive. So I'm going to assume this guy ends up dying, and that's how I'm going to assume one of the two ways he gets taken out.
So it was spreading largely because of word of mouth and because Chelino himself would go to car washes and street corners and he would sell his cassettes to anybody who would take them. By 1991, Chelino was so famous that he actually went on tour, and everywhere he went, the venue would be completely sold out. But given what his narco corridos were about, largely about drug trafficking and the people that are involved in that ecosystem, the people that would actually come to his performances were often rough and dangerous people, or were at least tied to rough and dangerous people. In 1992, when Chelino was performing in California, while he was on stage, this 33-year-old guy rushed onto stage with him and drew a gun on him. And Chelino, who was always carrying a weapon himself, drew his pistol and fired at this guy first. And then what ensued was this crazy gunfight on stage, practically point blank, between Chelino and this guy. And they both managed to shoot each other. Chelino got shot in the lung, and this guy got shot in the mouth. They would both survive. But 8 audience members also got shot, and one of them actually died. This made international headlines and, by all accounts, should have devastated Chelino's career. But in fact, it had the opposite effect. It made him 10 times more famous because Chelino, he was representing narco corrido music. And so in being the face of that, he kind of represented drug trafficking and criminals and outlaws all over Mexico and in the United States. And so he was kind of representing a very tough group of people. And so for him to have stood his ground on stage and shot first at this guy coming to attack him, it made him look brave. It It made him look like a warrior. It validated him as the right person to be the face of narco corridos. But Chelino also understood that this probably was not the last time that someone was going to try to hurt him. That in virtue of being the face of narco culture, there's bound to be people that are very violent that don't like him, and they might come after him too. And so he actually told his inner circle that he thought his days were numbered, that at some point someone was going to kill him. 4 months after the shootout, Chelino was back home in Sinaloa, Mexico, performing at a concert that his friends had told him he shouldn't do because he had lots of enemies in his hometown. But Chelino really wanted to do it. He got into the venue, he got on stage, his band was getting ready, thousands of people were coming into the audience, and before the show started, somebody handed him a note. And so Chelino takes the note, he's smiling, he's kind of looking around at the crowd, then he looks down at the note and he reads it, and right away his expression completely changes. He looks distressed, he rubs his brow, he frowns, he kind of looks up at the crowd like he's looking for someone, and then he just goes blank in the face, and he's looking out like he's looking past the crowd. And it's this long period of time where he's just blank staring into the audience. And then all of a sudden, he just snaps out of it, takes the note, puts it in his pocket, picks up the microphone, and proceeds to give one of his best live performances to date. After the concert was over, Chelino made a special effort to say bye to everybody in his band. He said bye to some people in the crowd. And then finally, after this kind of long, drawn-out goodbye, he walked out the back door. Shortly after, he was kidnapped, tied up, and then shot in the back of the head, execution style. It would turn out that note he received on stage was from his killers, who we don't know exactly who they are still to this day. But the note said, after this performance, we're going to kill you. And so that was the reason Chelino was so distressed, because whoever it was, he obviously understood it was a credible threat. But instead of panicking, he just decided he would give an amazing performance and then face his destiny. And so when he went outside, he knew he was going to get murdered. He did. Here is the moment Chelino was handed that note on stage, informing him he had been marked for death.
He literally just has this thing where he's just like, it's like he had to it's like he had to come to terms with his fate. And that's what it did. Once he saw that note, because he knew he's going to have a threat. And this threat is going to take him out. So he knew in his head. And he knew that once that happened, he had to convince himself in his head that that was the end. So he just said, he like came to terms with it, did his performance, went out the back door, and let fate happen, I guess.
Despite the fact that today there is already tons of shocking content on the internet, there is still something truly insane about Wu Yongning's videos. In 2017, Wu was a 26-year-old climbing enthusiast who was dubbed China's first rooftopper. A rooftopper is someone who, usually illegally, climbs onto rooftops, cranes, smokestacks, big antennas, skyscrapers, or any other really high, dangerous location. Almost always, these daredevils are going to these incredibly dangerous locations in order to capture footage of themselves so they can post it to the internet in hopes that it goes viral and they become famous and make a bunch of money. But because there are so many people competing for the internet's attention, rooftoppers really need to push the envelope if they want to stand out and make it big. And Wu Yongning did just that. The internet rewarded him with millions of followers and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Most rooftopers would go to the tops of these incredible locations and then take selfies of themselves standing there posing at the top. Wu would do that, but he also did a couple other things that nobody else was doing that kind of became his trademarks. The first one was he would dangle over the edge of the building or the crane or the antenna that he was holding onto, and he would do pull-ups, but he would keep doing them until he reached muscle failure, and then would barely be able to pull himself back up to safety. Another trademark move is he would go to the top of these huge buildings, and he would get right on the edge, and he would do a handstand, and then he would pull one arm back, so he's doing a one-armed handstand, and then he would tilt his body as far as he could over the edge until he couldn't do it any farther, and he'd let himself come back over to safety. And then perhaps the most difficult to watch trademark was when Wu would basically run up to the edge of buildings and stop just short. And he wouldn't just run to the edge, he would use a self-balancing scooter and go as fast as he could right to the edge of the building and stop just short. And over and over again. He'd go right to the edge and stop, where he's literally an inch away from tumbling off the edge. Or he'd line himself up where he knew exactly how far he was from the edge, and he would do these really aggressive somersaults forward, and he would stop with his legs dangling off the edge of the building. And of course, all of these trademark moves were done without any safety equipment, and most times Wu did these stunts without anybody there to potentially pull him back up if he gets stuck. About 3/4 of the way,
This dude, it was playing like all these people who go on these routes and that are playing with life or death. If they mess up, if they slip, if they lose grip, if one thing goes wrong, you will never hear from them again. And that is the danger of that. And that's why, listen, we all want to be famous. We all want to be popular. That's just the way life is. We all want to do that. Just don't put your life at risk to be popular. Don't do it. It ain't trust me, popularity ain't worth that.
through 2017, Wu had posted over 500 videos and live streaming clips to various social media sites, and he was starting to make some real money off of it. On one video sharing site alone, he had made over $80,000 just from donations that had come in. So it was clear this was becoming a career. But as the money and the fame were coming into Wu, he started to realize that in order for him to stay on top and keep earning at this level, he would need to continuously outperform his last big stunt. And already he was brushing up against death on virtually every video he took. In early November of that year, Wu heard about a competition that was offering $15,000 to its winner. The details of this competition are hazy at best, but from the sounds of it, it was a viral video competition. Make the most viral video and you win the prize. This competition served as motivation for Wu to finally attempt his craziest stunt yet. He figured if he had the footage of this particular stunt, he was sure to win this competition, and with the prize money, he could pay for his wedding and cover his mother's medical expenses. And so on November 8th, Wu traveled to the Huaiyan International Center in central China. This massive 62-story skyscraper would be the tallest building Wu had ever performed a stunt on. The public was only able to get up to the 44th floor, and so Wu had to take the elevator up to somewhere between the 40th and 44th floor, at which point he climbed out of a window and free-climbed his way all the way up to the top, so 20 additional floors just climbing the side of a skyscraper. Once he got to the rooftop, he set up his tripod and his camera, and he turned on his live stream. And then he walked around and he began preparing himself for the stunt. Live stream viewers that tuned in would see Wu sitting on the edge of the skyscraper, and he's meticulously wiping down the edge of this building. It's the area he'll be grabbing onto to perform his stunt, which was going to be his trademark pull-ups. And so after several minutes of Wu cleaning this ledge, he begins to lower himself where his arms are still tucked up over the ledge, so he's not hanging.
This guy's gonna lose grip, isn't he? He's either gonna lose grip or because they said he does it pretty much just to the point of muscle mass before he can barely get up. How much do you want to bet this is gonna be the time he can't get up? This is gonna be the time where his body just gives out on him. Why do people do that? Popularity isn't worth it.
He's got his arms kind of anchored on the top. He's like testing the edge of this lip. And he kind of feels around and he can tell that it's not a good grip. It's not good enough for him to go down to a full extension. And so he pulls himself back up and he goes back to wiping down the edge. And from the looks of it, it seems like Wu is actually pretty nervous about this stunt. And normally when you watch Wu's videos, he doesn't seem nervous at all, even leading up to his stunt. But this one just seemed different. And so after again wiping down this ledge as much as he possibly could, he gets himself ready, lowers himself onto his arms, he lets his legs drop over the edge of the building, and then he goes to full extension. And from there, he does 2 complete pull-ups, and then after the second pull-up, he begins to try to pull himself back up to safety. But he's fatigued, and he can't quite get himself up over the edge. He starts to use his feet to try to use the glass to push himself back up, but he can't get a grip. And for the next 15 seconds, Wu is desperately trying to get himself up and over this ledge. He's trying to muscle himself up, but it's obvious he's completely fatigued. I mean, he did free climb almost 20 stories to get up there, and so it makes sense his arms would be tired. But there's nobody up there to help pull him up. And so after a while, he goes back to full extension because he can't do anything. And he looks down as if he's sizing up if he can survive this fall, which he obviously can't. And then the camera picks up a sort of whimpering sound that appears to come from Wu, and then he loses his grip and he falls to his death. Here is a segment of his final video right before he fell. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found the secret in today's video, let us know in the comments what it is and where you found it. So give us the timestamp. And if you're the first to do that, we'll pin you at the top of the comments section. If you enjoyed today's video and you haven't done...
Ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this reaction video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Let me look at hold on. I want to see what the pin comment was. Good notice for the person. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you all enjoyed the reaction video. Hit the like button, hit subscribe button, comment what you think down below. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all for the next one.